Hello and welcome to another dose of SirToshi's Talks. I have with me today the infamous and famous Alex Fauvel. Is that how I pronounce it? Alex Fauvel? I think, yeah. So before we get started, let's crack on with it. So experience the best of both worlds today at betbitcoinsv.com, the best casino of sports betting on chain. Have a little flutter in private using the original protocol and genuine Bitcoin. Right, let's cue the music.
SirToshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Tether node, you'll surely see.
And we are live. Alex, are you there? Hello? Alex? Hello? You're muted, mate. I can't hear, mate. Oh. Hello, mate. Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, okay.
Hey.
Good.
Right.
How's it going? Sorry, I think the microphone switched on me when you went live or something.
That's all right, mate. We're all looking good. We're in progress. How's it all going?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Keeping up with the news. Although it's slow, it's pretty impactful. And yourself?
Yeah. Well, when you say slow, what do you mean? The news coming in is slow? I mean, like, every day I'm just like, holy shit, what's going on, you know?
Well, yeah, we go through ebbs and flows. At the moment, everyone's just kind of waiting for Craig's appeal. I guess with the rest of crypto, it's coming in pretty quick. Everyone's waiting for 100K to hit. But
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's going to happen. Maybe we've already seen the top.
You think so? Yeah, just looking at BTC now. The 24-hour high was 97,000. All-time high, 99,754. Good grief. So, yeah, like just 846... $246 away from that 100K. I'm assuming they're probably expecting a massive sell-off. Is that what you expect?
Well, if we had the sell-off, I mean, some people think that we're going to get a 30% correction before the end of the year. Maybe other people think we've already had the correction and we're going back up. I think it's a question of what happens with Tether. How confident are they feeling? How pissed off are they? But also, what is Craig's strategy? Because if you're paying attention, those are the two opposing sides of this fight, and the price is just a reflection of what each side is doing.
Yeah, and it looks like Tether has just pumped another $1 billion. Oh no, another $500 million into the market. Yeah, 500 million. They've literally just put in a few hours ago. Bloody hell.
That's the smallest in a while, though. In this
Yeah.
current batch that they're putting out ever since Trump started winning.
What's the biggest pump they've ever done? Is it 2 billion?
Something like that. I mean, they didn't start doing billions soon after they crossed a billion. They started doing billions quite soon after that.
Yeah,
So,
this is a classic case
I think they
of,
went from 3 billion to 4 billion in one pump. Almost.
This is a
You've got the
classic
chart
case
there,
of.
you should be able to tell.
Yeah. This is literally what we're watching with Tether. Is literally what happens with fiat currency. You know, literally just inflated into infinity. You know.
As with the crypto markets as a whole as well. I mean, the 50,000 coins we've got now is beyond what I thought was possible. I thought, that maybe we would have a couple of hundred of serious projects, but now it's a question of you got people sitting on the toilet making a coin. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just look at how many we've actually got on the market now. So according to Live Coin Watch, there is now 38,905 coins. And they're getting so desperate that one of the coins is called Chair.
Well, is that more? That's more coins than words in the English language. Isn't it?
Yeah.
There's 26,000 words in the English language, so 38,000. Yeah, there's some collisions there if they're all one word.
Good grief. Yeah, some of them are literally just made up letters. And then we got Doge here with a market cap that surpassed Porsche the other day. Market cap of $52 billion. But, you know, it's on Live Coin Watch, the max supply isn't even listed because it's inflated. It's an inflationary currency. So, you know, its current market cap is only going to increase as the supply comes on, because every single token that they create, you know, literally takes on the market price. Absolutely crazy for anybody who didn't know that. But should we get on to talking about Mela? Are you there? Oh, we've just lost you again. There we go. Back in the room.
Hey, sorry about that.
That's
I think
all right.
it's anytime I move away from the app, it goes into mute or something.
Really?
And I have to come back, and then even if I unmute, it doesn't come back.
Jeepers. All right then.
Yeah. Anyway, Mela is actually an old word for a tool that is used to thread gold thread, so that it allows the person that's threading it to not touch it as much and not lose as much gold, effectively. So it's like a more delicate threading pin. Sort of
and
device.
do you think that metaphor has got something to do with Judge Mela himself?
Well, I think that names definitely come from somewhere, and people with certain names tend to have perspectives that are relevant to that name, just because, you know, if you are around something, it has an effect on you. So like, you know, the name Smith comes from blacksmiths. So although that was a very long time ago, if you're a smith, you're probably pretty good with metalwork, or at least knew someone that was, because you're not very far removed from it.
Right.
But I think the same is true in the modern world, because someone with the name that I don't want to say has higher authority, but has a higher power to it in people's minds, does have a psychological effect. Just because, you know, if you know someone called Clinton, then it's like, oh, well, do you know the Clintons? Are you related to them? You know, and then people do those things.
Right. Yeah. Manifestation then, kind of, because they're all thinking. Yeah.
But it's real manifestation, and it's literally all just psychological. People kind of think, oh yeah, you can manifest anything, but most of the time manifestation is unconscious.
And I mean, what's your opinion on the fact that Mela was wrong, unanimously wrong, on his last decision, which means his decisions are unreliable? I mean, what's he even doing there?
It doesn't necessarily mean his decisions are unreliable. It means that his decisions are at least unreliable towards Craig and this ecosystem. Let's call it like entirely on cryptocurrency. 3 judges ruled on something pretty basic, that Mela was wrong. And it was effectively, you know, you can't simultaneously acquire the copyright, the file format, and publish it at the same time. Something similar to that. It was kind of like, Craig's argument was, as soon as you start executing Bitcoin, that's the publication of it, and therefore it's all happens at once. And Mellor was kind of like, well, no, there are individual processes that can't necessarily happen. And the other judges were like, no, of course they can happen at the same time. So it's kind of interesting that he was wrong on that. But in my view, that is a fundamental error in logic, saying that they have to be separate. You know, an action can do more than one thing at once. So why would they need to be separate actions? Yeah, but then this whole appeal thing, getting Craig to come in person.
Yeah, I don't like that.
There's a part of me that thinks that they're trying to require him to come in person because they want to keep the options open to put him immediately in prison or something. But he's also said that, you know, CPS won't do anything until the case is dealt with, as in it's closed up, and this appeal hearing is not going to close up the case. There's going to be more deliberation, as far as I understand. So they're kind of saying, well, you know, you're not going to go to prison, so don't worry about that immediately after the court. But like Gavin Gregory said about the assassination markets that Craig had mentioned, in that he's seen potential bounties on his head or something on these dark web markets, or using Taproot or something. I don't know where he's getting the information. I'm not part of it. I don't look at this stuff. I'm not part of it. I don't care. But I do find it interesting that for all that, oh, Craig, you're such a pansy and stuff, you know, stop being such a pussy, effectively. Could just do what they tell you to and blah, blah, blah. For all of that, they're also like, you know, oh, you need to ensure that you're properly armed up so that you're not susceptible to a $5 wrench attack and stuff, which is, you know, you get kidnapped and then get asked for your seed phrase. So why they treat Craig very differently to how they would want to be treated themselves, which I think is a big marker of bias. You know, they say we're biased in that we support Craig, therefore we can't have a proper view of Bitcoin. But they don't even want to talk about Bitcoin with us, because they lose every single argument that they have with us. You know, that's why they isolated us, because they don't want to even have the discussion. Because as soon as you have discussions about sig hash algorithms and all this other stuff that is fundamental to the nature of Bitcoin and how it was originally by Satoshi and how they've changed it and why they've changed it, well, then they have to justify what they've done, and they never want to have to justify what they've done. They just want the ultimate power and authority to do what they think is best. And that's Craig's entire argument for basically this entire thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, they can't justify what they've done because there's no justification for it.
Well, they will give you justifications, but they're excuses. They're things like, oh, this is weird behavior that no one understands. It's clearly a bug. It's like, well, it acts intentionally differently for other appearances, and just because you don't understand why it's designed like that, you want to change it into the way you would design it. Well, sorry, but you didn't design Bitcoin, so you have no authority to change it until you understand why it is the way it is.
Yeah. They're
and
never
even when you do
gonna
understand why the way it is, you're going to come to the same conclusion that everyone else does, in that that's very useful. Yeah, I kind of want to use that in some of the projects I'm building. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I mean, I was that the last Copa case that we saw. I mean, where literally is like, right, we're only going to allow cross-examination. I mean, what an absolute piss take. What an absolute piss take that was. How on earth can that ever be a fair hearing?
Craig was on the stand for an entire week and a bit, and then every other witness was on for a couple of hours at most. It is a trial and prosecution of Craig. It's not a let's get to the truth of this. Because if they wanted to get to the truth of this, they probably shouldn't be questioning Craig so much, right? Because Craig is an unreliable witness because of the claim he's given. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of insane that people think you can question the person on trial and come to the truth. You have to look at everything else and everything around it to it's like looking for a black hole, right? You might want to probe the black hole, but you can't. You've got to look at everything around it to determine whether that black hole is there. And Satoshi's identity is a black hole, because if you look hard enough, you can probably put almost anyone in that position, unless you're looking at everything else around it as well.
Oh yeah, like circumstantial in a way.
Yeah, almost the circumstantial evidence you have to give more weight to in this case, because we are looking at something that we can't define until, we put it in place and all the math works out. Especially when the math works out about what Craig's talking about, because Craig talks about random mathematical equations, or like saying that if you could do the Lightning Network, you could solve log n, or np equals p, so it is impossible. And they're like, oh, well, what are you talking about? We've got regular logistics all over the place. But of course, electrons are not regular logistics. Electrons that need to do the same thing in every single place that they appear is, nigh on impossible unless you have a proof of work chain that enforces it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and also, when Mellor said in his previous judgment, Craig expended substantial skill and judgment in creating the Bitcoin file format.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's assuming that. That's assuming that Craig is the inventor of the thing that is brought before the court. That was never in dispute in that case. Craig is claiming he invented it, and therefore, if the other party doesn't dispute it, I don't know who the other party was. So the other party was... No, it was just an administration thing, because this isn't person versus person court. This is a abstract concept versus abstract concept sort of court.
But it was still a ruling that Judge Mellor made, so he's contradicting himself.
Yes. Unfortunately, you have to take the entire case in context when you look at each judge's ruling on certain things. So, yes, he may have said those things. So, like, in the future, if Mellor rules on another case that's to do with Craig, he might say that you've been working on Bitcoin since 2008. That's a fact. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're Satoshi Nakamoto. Because in the legal view of the world, a group of people could have been working on Bitcoin before it was released, and we just don't know who all those people were. Does that mean? Because it's all legal fiction and stuff, they never really take into account the actual world that we live in that, it's just easier to compartmentalize everything from their perspectives.
So what constitutes as the Bitcoin file format that he said Craig expended substantial skill and judgment on?
I believe it's the .dat files, effectively. And maybe the transactions.
Okay.
I haven't looked in depth into the case, but the Bitcoin file format is quite clearly not the code. It's the files that are produced when you execute the code, and those files are .dat and .wallet, I think.
Okay, so he's saying that Craig was at least part of the team who created Bitcoin. If he
No,
was,
not
no?
that's the thing. Not even necessarily. But this is I imagine this is the type of thing that the appeals judges, if we get to appeal, are going to go, right, so your previous ruling was this, your current ruling is this, how do we reconcile that? And if that's the process that they're going to go through, that should mean that the appeals go, well, you said this, what did you mean by that? Okay, do we find that reason acceptable or not? How are you reconciling that yourself, Mr. Mellor?
Mm.
And then do we agree with that or not? But
And
maybe they don't even take that into account. I mean, I would if I was them, but I'm not them.
and surely they would have to take into account the Ira Kleiman case and the Cobra Bitcoin
Uh,
copyright case. I mean, no, because nobody
no, they
nobody
don't.
came
They
forward
don't
to
have.
dispute it.
They don't have to take it into account. They're not even taking into account the Bitcoin design in this case. So, when they say that, when they say that, when they say Bitcoin works like this, for everyone else that's working in non-legal parlance, that means BTC. If you're working in legal parlance where a thing is defined by its specification and not what everyone are calling it, then it's incorrect. What's going on?
So legalese then.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Trickery with words.
yeah, unfortunately, but it's trying to be correct with each definition. But as we know, definitions aren't exactly set these days.
Yeah. Nobody can define what a woman is. if you're woke, especially if you're a woke judge, like Mellor sounds like he probably is. Woke being
I
on the
am
side of communism.
I am very interested to know how Bitcoin affects the language we use legally, because there are law dictionaries and stuff, but as soon as dictionaries like Slictionary start appearing on Bitcoin and then the public consciousness, how is the law going to reconcile two different definitions if two lawyers are using, or two people outside of the court system but going through it, using completely different terms?
Well,
I guess that's always a
by
problem.
the time that happens, BTC won't exist.
Hopefully.
I would say this thing it's just going to crumble overnight the moment utility is recognised or the truth comes out, whichever one comes first, which one of them is bound to happen eventually at some point. The entire crypto
But what?
market goes bust.
Well, I think the entire crypto market's going to go bust, and then everyone's going to turn around and look at it and go, "What the hell happened?" I don't think there's going to be a realization. I think it's going to continue until it collapses. And it collapses under its own weight, either because the US basically goes, right, this Bitcoin thing, whilst it's interesting, every single one of your exchanges has been committing massive fraud. So we're going to take you all to court, and your executives are possibly going to jail.
But they're changing Gary Gensler probably for a douchebag crypto
The pro
friendly.
crypto, yeah.
Yeah, which is
So
ridiculous.
every president has phases in their presidency. The transition team are putting people in that they want. Lutnick controls or was a big part of the transition team, but now he's been given a treasury, a a commerce secretary role, which is kind of like a consolation prize for the prize of treasury secretary. I don't think he's going to be getting everything he wants. It's a question of whether the person that Trump puts into the SEC or nominates for the SEC is friendly enough to crypto that it's not a big problem, but then the person that replaces them once the Department of Government Efficiency kicks in is friendly to Bitcoin SV. Because I believe that the reason the SEC chair will change for the next time will be because of crypto. It'll be something like, you've let this get way too out of hand.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing? We've been in the industry and we've talked to everyone, and they're all crooks. Every single one of them is committing massive security fraud.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing? But I don't think that's going to be a change in people's approach to crypto of, oh, well, we need to flock to utility then. It's just going to be oh, the feds are here, we need to run. So it's like the end of a house party when the cops show up, everyone starts looking for exits as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how any regulator is going to have a leg to stand on when they actually start digging into these cryptos, because the way the first thing that identifies a security is whether or not it's been issued.
Yeah.
If it's been issued, it is a security. Whether it's an illegal one or whether it's a genuine one, it doesn't matter. The fact is, if it's been issued, it's a security. That's it.
Yeah.
End of. And all of these cryptos have been issued. Ripple XRP has been issued. Stellar has been issued. All these ones with, a central starting point.
Even the ones with anonymous founders have been issued.
Yeah.
But the difference to Bitcoin is that it wasn't a copy of anything else.
Well, also, it wasn't issued, it was extracted.
Yes.
And that's
the founder didn't even give themselves any coins to start with. It was started from scratch. It wasn't started on any other dependencies. You could do Bitcoin via pigeons if you wanted. You could do that. It would just take a long time.
How do you mean? Hold on, explain that again. What do you mean Bitcoin via pigeons?
Well, you can do it by hand. You can, do all the maths to create a hash until you get one that fits. And if you send that solution via pigeon to a tribe somewhere else or something, they can do the maths as well and go, oh, right, yeah, okay. So that's what we're building on for the next one. There's a new YouTube video from, is it Computer File? And they talk about the reverse of the ACK problem. And the ACK problem is how do you send a message that acknowledges something whilst knowing that the other side has received that acknowledgement? And they reverse it into, how do you close out a connection with someone? Because one person says goodbye, the other person says goodbye, but then if you say, what happens to the person that said goodbye the second time, what happens to the person that originally received the message goodbye if they don't get a response back because the other person's turned off, right? Do you just have a protocol where it's just the person that received the goodbye sends a goodbye, but then you get into an endless loop of everyone's always saying goodbye and never actually closing the channel? In the real world, it's solved by you say goodbye, you receive a goodbye, and then you wait for a little bit after you've said your goodbye. And if you don't receive a message, you shut down. And it's like a real world simple solution that computer scientists never seem to understand because they only ever think in ones and zeros. Bitcoin is a math solution. It's not. It's a whilst it uses computers, it's not dependent on them, as with most programs. But developers never think in real world terms. They always think in terms of, well, can I write this down as a function? Because that's what they do every day.
Right. Yeah. I get anybody listening would probably need to have a at least a somewhat grasp of how computers work and computer code and all that.
Yeah, but the kind of the point is that in Bitcoin, the assumption is the attack has already started, as in the message has already been sent. Are you participating or not? That's the only decision. So when it comes to mining, it's like you can see everyone else is mining, and the attack has started from the general's perspective. So are you going to get involved or not? If you don't want to be part of it, fine, then go and do something else. But if you start an attack somewhere else, it's counterproductive.
So what do you mean?
What all the other cryptos have done.
Oh, do you mean like starting an attack on Bitcoin by creating all these other cryptos?
Yeah, kind of. So the Byzantine's general problem is about when you agree to attack a castle, right? So you're trying to send a message through the castle that you want to attack to someone on the other side that needs a time, and then needs to say, I acknowledge this message through the same mechanism. So you've got to send a message through the castle again. Now, the castle can intercept the message and make sure that the other person never gets it. So Bitcoin solves that by basically just going, you announce that you've started to attack, and anyone else can join when they want. And over time, it should build up to a single attack on a single system. And when I say attack, it's a mathematical construct of how you organize something. It's just an analogy. But there is a real world attack with blockchains in that you can destroy the attack that's happening by attacking something else and diverting forces into another area, effectively reducing the attackers, which is the Bitcoin people trying to build world money. You can reduce their force multiplier by distracting all the people that are going, oh, well, I think I might join. Well, I'll get you to pound rocks instead of pounding a wall. And you're not going to know the difference because your fists are still hitting stone. So, one of you's pounding dirt, the other's attacking a castle.
Yeah, I get that. It's going to be calamitous when it happens because at the end of the day, I mean, I've tried to explain this to many people. Yeah, Bitcoin is an economic model, and I think it was J Paps when he was listening to G Money. And G Money was going on about, it's the amount of hash rate, we've got the biggest guns and all that. He just said, well, look, let's start with this one. Bitcoin is an economic model. You need the block subsidy to replace the block reward. That can't be done on BTC.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow for the volume of transactions. So BTC will fall over on itself. Well, say fall over on itself. I mean, this is why the powers that be are talking about converting to proof of stake. And people are so dumb these days. I mean, it didn't even really have much of an effect on Ethereum. Because people just don't appreciate the fact that you need economic competition in order for something to be, quotes, decentralized or commoditized.
You can't have a free market if you have to buy your way into the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitcoin doesn't require buying into the market. It just requires that you do calculations faster. Those are two separate things. And in Ethereum, they don't care how quick you can calculate. They care about how much money you've got to buy into their scheme. How much other money, because you don't want to trade Ethereum for Ethereum, because obviously that's stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, what kind of shocked me was just, I mean, you've got people like Peter McCormack, but Peter McCormack, you can tell by his show and the way he talks, he is not very clever. And he even admits it. He says, "Look, I'm a moron,
But
right?"
that's why he's relatable. That's why he markets well, because he relates with all the other people in the world that don't consider themselves technical or, they're scared of technology. Technology is like now digital money, and they could barely understand how their mouse moves the pointer on the screen, and now you're telling them that these electrons that you've been using are going to turn into money. It's like,
Yeah.
well, how the hell am I going to understand that? I barely understand money in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just an abstract concept that everyone uses all the time. No one understands, not even the people in charge of it understand it. So how the hell am I going to be able to understand it? What they don't realize is that the people at the top don't understand it because they're paid not to understand it. And they're paid to make sure that you do not understand it either. That's why it was only in 2008 did the Bank of England start talking about how money is actually created. And at the end of it, they were kind of like, yeah, we just kind of print it. Oh, and we charge an interest.
When did they say that? Or was that after the financial crisis?
I think it was during the financial crisis or just before it. I was actually studying art, and one of the things that the art project was about was, I think it was value. But when you do art AS or art A level, they give you like some sort of abstract word as a topic to do your portfolio on. But it was value, and I was studying fine art printing, and I was always kind of fascinated as to why banknotes were so intricate and interesting, effectively pieces of art, and we trade them around like nothing. Uh, it's kind of like, what the hell is the value of art? We're making art and trading art, but it's got a set value. But yeah, so I studied the Bank of England kind of through that uh, during the 2008 financial crisis. And during my looking at the website, they kept on updating it to give us more information on how money was actually created.
Is that what they actually call it? Do they refer to it as money?
Uh, Not all the time. I think in those articles they're referring to it as currency,
Good. Yeah, they should
which
do
is,
because that's what it is.
yeah, exactly. This is where the legalese comes in, right? That you don't notice, that most people don't notice. Currency is money. Money is currency to most people. Those are interchangeable concepts. But if you know the difference between money and currency, you can use them interchangeably to someone that isn't aware of the difference and get away with the fraud that is being perpetrated right now.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah, because if the banks were using the term money, then that could be done for fraud. And what's interesting these days is they have like anti-money laundering compliance, and it's just like, well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's not money
Yeah, but
because
they
we're
need
using
to use the
currency.
term money because, from a government's perspective, currency is money. Um, they, I believe, they kind of use a different lexology, and that's kind of why the fraud has happened in the first place. Almost because someone signed a contract thinking they were signing it for money when actually it was for currency.
Yeah.
And then you try and fight that, and it's like, well, actually, no, the definition of money is this, so you were actually incorrect. The fraud persists. But this happens so much all over the world that I don't think I don't think we can prevent it in any other way other than with Bitcoin.
Yep.
And people, I speak to people, clever people, about this, and they start to see the perspective of BSB and stuff, but then they're like, yeah, but it could still be anything else, it's not even necessarily
Yeah,
BSB.
I've
And I'm
had that
like,
response.
but I keep on saying, but you don't understand that you can't replicate the start anymore. Like, it's not possible. It's an economic experiment where it's affected by it's in the environment it was released into. Um, and the only way to replicate it would be to start with a fresh society. Well, I'm sorry, that
Yeah.
ain't happening.
Yeah.
That's never happening.
Certainly not in our lifetimes.
Well, yeah, because if it does happen, we would be one of the first people to go, wouldn't we?
Yeah. I was just thinking actually the reason they have to use money is because money is considered money is considered valuable globally, whereas whenever they mention currency, everybody knows that a currency is just printed by an individual country's central bank. So therefore,
When you say money, no one ever thinks which one.
yes, good point. Good point. Yeah. Then everything which one because they just think money is value,
Yes.
whereas currency is just created by the central banks and they're all different.
Yeah, currency is the thing you carry around in your pocket and pay for your beer with. Money is a value construct that comes from utility. That value construct is how much more value can you get out of the thing you're consuming or buying.
Yeah, supply and demand is what sets the value.
Yeah, and the demand comes from the use.
Indeed. Yeah, which is why I think Bitcoin is going to be the most valuable commodity on earth.
If it's used, hopefully, man. Hopefully. I mean, some of the things that I keep on worrying about, or I guess hopeful about, is that people just don't know and it kind of happens. And I am hopeful for that, in that it just starts replacing everything, and then suddenly all the terms and conditions well, we can't view your data unless you explicitly give us access each time we need it, or and there's consideration involved in which we have to pay you for your data because we're going to be all this other stuff. I kind of hope that it just kind of happens without people realizing. But I also feel like the current companies will never let it happen. And the destruction of those companies is going to be long and arduous if they never let it happen. But at the end of the day, if the governments are kind of like, well, all this crypto stuff is rubbish, we need to get rid of it. Oh, and by the way, BTC is no longer Bitcoin, and it never was, because it's an airdrop from 2017. We can't actually stop or change Bitcoin. It is just what it is. It's been out long enough. There is no one accountable for it because we don't know who SirToshi is. So, if you're going to use anything, we're not going to touch you there. But that's wishful thinking, I think. It's hugely wishful thinking. But I do think that all the other cryptos are going to die before BSV succeeds.
I actually think that it's the start of the success of BSV that will effectively pop the crypto bubble.
That would be the ideal situation. In that BSV has some sort of app or something that is used by IBM. IBM puts out a freaking press release. Oracle puts out a press release going, we're using blockchain. The blockchain we're using is publicly available. You can find our initial transaction to prove that we're doing it here. Let's play, kind of thing. They're sitting down at the table then publicly. And I think that any press release of a company that is using the BSV blockchain should come with an initial transaction that basically just says, IBM initializing BSV or something like that. Or they're like their keys, because if we've got all these certificates running around the current internet, each company should have a certificate on BSV, which is a key that publicly announces that they are that key is associated with them.
Yeah, that would be great. And did you see the post by Brendan Lee earlier today saying phone numbers suck?
Yeah, yeah, I didn't see that post, but that is such a great idea.
Yeah, well, tell you what, I'll
It
just
should be a
read
different
it.
phone number every single time you dial it.
Yeah. So I'll just read it for the viewers who are listening. So Brendan Lee has said here, phone numbers suck. So you're telling me that anyone who learns mine can simply dial me up anytime from anywhere? I understand this was needed when we used switchboards and had a home phone line, but in today's connected world, it makes no sense. Calling someone should not be so easy or so cheap. I should be able to put a price on contact. After all, you are requesting my time. I should be able to order business cards that each feature a unique QR code that enables someone to call me once. I should be able to give my family members and friends a token that lets them call me at any time. For everyone else, it's a single-use token or paid request. This is easy on BSV. Every phone call can be completed, managed in a payment channel. A hash of the audio of each end of the call, or even every 5-second chunk, can be captured on chain so the contents can never be altered or deep faked. Phone numbers need to go. With BSV, we can make them history. Oh yeah, that's an awesome concept. An awesome concept
It
because it
is.
increases privacy.
Yeah, but
Stop
it also
scammers
gives
as
you a
well.
record of everything that you've said in your possession that is provable in a court of law, in a phone call, right? So because you've got the hashes at the start and at the beginning, one, it time boxes the conversation and gives you a complete chain of everything, every byte that was gone on in that call. You're probably going to have to record it on both ends, but it doesn't really matter. The reason you have to record it on both ends is because if you have packet drop, that will change the conversation. So let's say we greet each other and then you say something and that one thing doesn't come through to me. If I then start talking about something else, it kind of might look like that I was completely ignoring you or didn't hear you or something. But if that's not the case, then you need to have a record of that.
Yes, I can see that would be very valuable, exceptionally valuable. That would prevent a lot of fraud and corruption.
I would imagine that not only would lawyers on the right side of things only want to communicate with people that are using the system, but courts would almost require it as part of your license. So if you're going to be a licensed attorney, well, you have to use a phone company or email service that uses this standard.
Yeah, politicians.
Yep,
They should all be
well,
on this.
yep. It would be interesting to know if, it will be interesting to see rather if this does happen from a top-down approach, in that the governments realize it and then start going, oh, well, we'll use it kind of quietly just so we can test it out, see how it works. If it's effective, we can use it without causing any waves or issues with any of our partners. And then, kind of one day just go, oh, well, yeah, we've been experimenting with it. It's quite interesting technology.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Do you have any? Have you got any insider info on when Terrano? Because Craig has said it's already running.
Yeah, when I don't know what the Bitcoin network is doing in terms of what software is running, and that's kind of the point of the Bitcoin network. You never really know, but I would suspect that everyone that is mining BSV has probably been contacted and said, do you want this new software that will allow you to process these insanely ridiculous blocks? And in a sense, it's running, but it's not being pushed to the hilt, where they're testing all the new features, testing the scalability of it on public mainnet. Kurt has specifically said they're running it at Gorilla Pool. They're testing it out, but is it mining a block? I'm sure someone's probably tested it out without saying anything.
Well,
I mean, what's the value loss if you lose a block on BSV at the moment? $50.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I don't think a manager's going to go, what the hell do you think you're doing? If you've caused like 3 orphans.
And didn't they say that they're basically going to have to sunset SV node in order to do the...
because it won't be able to keep up. This is almost it's almost enforced version control because we're scaling Bitcoin. Because let's say you're running the original Bitcoin core that Satoshi put out. For a start, it's not multi-threaded. So if you were to put a Bitcoin SV block through it, even though it abides by all the protocols and stuff, it will take probably like half an hour to validate a single block. In fact, maybe the Terra node software is not actually compatible at all with the original Bitcoin software. And what I mean by that is that in order to do some of the things that Terra node does, there is like a protocol on how to validate a tree once you receive it. So there's a bit of additional communication of, so this tree is located in this server, go and get it, kind of thing. And if you don't have those functions in the original software, it's not going to know where to go and get those trees if it hasn't seen them before. But if you're just putting the raw data through, yeah, it would take maybe hours.
Yeah, well, it's certainly going to be very exciting. I'm just seeing we've been going for 52 minutes. This has been a great catch-up as ever. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap things up?
Not really. I hope this appeal goes well, and the contempt of court hearing goes well. I do actually kind of think that there is a possibility, I wouldn't call it a probability, that Craig does have to go to jail for a couple of months or something, just as like a show of, you're being ridiculous. But will it be a case of there's a conviction, but actually he doesn't spend a day in jail, much like the Trump fiascos?
Well, there's no evidence of this. Contempt of court. If they do go down that route, there is no evidence of any forgery or fraud that Mellor accused him of, because both sides agreed there was no allegations of forgery or fraud. So things are so effing corrupt at the moment. It's unbelievable. I
find it difficult to say that it's ignorance or negligence. I do find it difficult to think that, partly because Mellor himself has said specifically, you are either the victim of a massive conspiracy or you're a fraud and a liar. And his conclusion after, hearing all the allegations against Craig and then seeing Craig's response to these allegations and some of the things that Craig has had to deal with, is still saying you're a fraud. He's still thinking that it is more likely that he's a fraud, and everyone's just kind of distancing themselves from him, as opposed to
you can't call somebody a fraud unless you've got evidence to prove your statement. He who makes the claim needs to prove the claim.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of implicitly implying it, aren't they? Because they're kind of saying, you're not Satoshi, you're just a very naughty boy, and also we have no evidence, but you keep on saying it, so we're just going to say you're not.
Yeah, and as Craig's lawyers didn't object to it, which is what they should have done. Yeah,
Yeah.
every single time. I think Craig's lawyers absolutely screwed him. You know, they put on a
How
good they put on
likely
a
do
good
you think it
facade.
is that Craig is playing like 10D chess where uh, Agar Hansen was intentional? Because I think that's really, really improbable. I think it's just maybe they've got an overarching plan, and whether the stuff in the middle uh, doesn't really matter, you know,
Oh well,
then why would they even plan for it?
how do you mean when you're asking about Ager Hansen? What do I think he was genuinely a plant, or just turned while he was working for them, or what?
No, no, no. I'm saying, do you think that they intentionally let the fox into the hen house to see what he would do?
Oh, as in like they took him on.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I personally, again, just speculating here. I don't think they did because
Yeah.
they would have no reason to actually do it. I think I think they took him on because they intentionally, or they actually thought he was going to do some good. I mean, he fooled them, yeah, because he was the one that went in
Yeah, I
undercover.
mean, it's the autistic decision, isn't it? Give someone the benefit of the doubt. They're honest, they're genuine, they want to help us.
Well,
Um,
if he's a billionaire, billionaires you shouldn't be able to financially incentivize a billionaire because it's like you can't pay them enough because it's just like, look, I'm a
you're talking about
billionaire.
Agar Hansen. Agar Hansen's definitely not a billionaire.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he was. Unless they'd done a financial background check on him, I mean, all the records, well, all the social media posts that I looked at, said that he was worth about 2.5 billion.
Yeah, that's the problem with scammers. They are very good at bending the truth, telling the right people lies, and then waking up and watching it get printed in a paper.
I would say it was just very poor judgment from Enchain.
Yeah.
To be yeah, I would say the amount of improvements in terms of social media and just general education and knowledge that could come out of CoinGeek and Enchain
Hmm.
is huge. I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing my show is because I learned absolutely naff all from listening to or trying to listen to CoinGeek. Not that they put much information out there anyway, you know.
There's a new CoinGeek video out today. I don't know whether you've seen it, but it's great. It
Oh,
mentions SirToshi and puts it front and center about cybersecurity. It's like an
real.
infographic video, which is what they should have been doing from the start.
Right, infographic. Excellent.
Well,
Uh,
it's a videographic video. I don't know how. It's basically like a bunch of facts and statistics. SirToshi solves that problem for you. I don't think it even mentions BSV. It just says blockchain. It's fantastic. It's what they
oh,
should have been doing from the start.
right. I'm trying to find it. So I'm on
If you just go to the CoinGeek homepage, go to videos, it should have been like the last video uploaded, or maybe the second to last.
CoinGeek homepage. Right, we've got home, news, blockchain ventures. What is the
No, on
latest?
YouTube. On YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm on YouTube. Home.
Imagine
Their
Uh,
CoinGeek channel.
yeah, I'm on that right now. Videos. The latest one was how can Philippines
Cybersecurity. I think it's titled Cybersecurity.
cybersecurity. And when did that come out?
Today, I think. Let me check for you. Videos. Latest popular.
imagine
Also, oh no, BSV channel. Sorry, BSV blockchain channel.
On YouTube.
Yeah. It's called Blockchain Cybersecurity, Preventing Cyber Threats, so on and so forth.
Here we go.
It's got 60 views at the moment, man. 8 hours ago.
Videos. Blockchain cybersecurity. There we go. Right, awesome. Yeah, cyber attacks are escalating at an alarming rate, becoming more right. Awesome. All right, I will be looking forward to watching that. Then, right, that's probably a good time to wrap up because it's been 1 hour, pretty much bang on the nose. This has
Good
been
stuff.
great. Yeah, we'll have to do this regularly, once a month or something like that.
Yeah,
Catch up, put this out.
we keep on missing each other when we're trying to organize it, but I think this time we're pretty good.
Yeah.
So next time. We'll
All right,
do
mate.
it.
Well, this has been great. Thanks as ever. So yeah, we'll stay in touch obviously and catch up again soon.
Cheers, Toshi.
All right,
See you soon.
cheers, mate. Have a good one. Bye. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome, awesome. Right, I am very much looking forward to watching this video from BSV Blockchain. So yeah, anybody else who wants to find it, you can see it here. Literally on, if you click on videos. There we go. It's the latest one. Fantastic. Right, that was the podcast that we've done with Alex Fauvel. So I hope you enjoyed it. And as ever, we'll see you in the next one. So be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.